It was a warm summer evening in 2019 when Olivia Carter walked into a quiet cafe in downtown Chicago. She was 27, beautiful, and full of life, the kind of woman who turned heads when she entered a room. But that night, something was different. She seemed uneasy, glancing around as if expecting someone or something. She found a table near the back, away from the windows, and ordered a cup of tea. Within minutes, another woman joined her. Her name was Emily Rhodes, Olivia's childhood best friend. They had been inseparable once, but over the years, life had taken them down different paths. Their reunion should have been a happy one. But by the time the cafe closed, Olivia Carter would be dead. Olivia and Emily had grown up in the wealthy suburbs of Chicago. They attended the same prestigious private school, their lives filled with luxury, privilege, and the kind of confidence that came with knowing the world belonged to them. But beneath the perfect exterior, there were cracks in their friendship. Olivia was always the star, the girl everyone loved. Emily, on the other hand, was always in her shadow. It was something she never admitted out loud, but deep inside, resentment had been building for years. By the time they reached college, Olivia had blossomed into a successful entrepreneur, launching a high-end fashion brand that took off almost overnight. Emily, meanwhile, struggled to find her own identity, bouncing between jobs and barely making ends meet. Still, Olivia had never abandoned her friend. She helped Emily financially, offered her a place to stay when she needed it, and even introduced her to the right people. But Emily didn't want Olivia's help. She wanted what Olivia had. In early August 2019, Olivia received a call from Emily, someone she hadn't spoken to in months. Emily sounded desperate, pleading to meet. "It's important," she had said. "I need to see you." Olivia hesitated, but eventually agreed. Despite their rocky past, she still cared. They made plans to meet at a café they used to visit in college, a small, intimate spot away from the city's noise. What Olivia didn't know was that Emily had been planning this meeting for weeks, and she had no intention of letting Olivia leave alive. Security footage from the cafe later showed Olivia arriving first, sitting by herself for about 10 minutes before Emily entered. The two women hugged, exchanged polite smiles, and sat down. The conversation started light, with reminiscing about old times. But as the minutes passed, the atmosphere shifted. Olivia's expression changed: concern, confusion. At 8:32 p.m., Olivia took a sip of her tea. At 8:34 p.m., she clutched her stomach. At 8:35 p.m., she collapsed. The cafe staff rushed to her side as Emily screamed for help, her hands trembling, her face twisted in horror. Paramedics arrived within minutes, but it was too late. Olivia Carter was dead. The cause? Poison. When paramedics arrived, Emily was inconsolable. She clung to Olivia's lifeless body, her sobs loud enough to turn heads in the cafe. "She just collapsed," she kept repeating. "I don't know what happened." But something felt off. Olivia had been perfectly fine just moments earlier. The cafe staff reported that she had ordered nothing but tea. The cup she drank from was immediately confiscated by authorities, and within hours, the toxicology report confirmed the worst. Olivia Carter had been poisoned. The poison? A lethal dose of aconitine, an extremely potent toxin derived from the wolfsbane plant. It was rare, difficult to obtain, and nearly impossible to trace once ingested. Someone had planned this carefully. At first, Emily was treated as a grieving friend, not a suspect, but inconsistencies in her story soon raised red flags. When questioned by detectives, Emily claimed Olivia had been feeling sick all evening. However, security footage from the cafe showed Olivia laughing and talking normally until she took that last sip of tea. Then there was the matter of the teacup. Investigators found no traces of poison in the cafe's tea supply. That meant the poison had been added after the drink was served, likely by someone at the table. And Emily was the only person sitting with Olivia. Detectives dug deeper into her life. What they found was troubling. Emily was drowning in debt, tens of thousands of dollars in unpaid loans, overdue rent, and maxed out credit cards. Just days before Olivia's death, Emily had texted a friend saying, "I'm so tired of struggling. Some people have everything handed to them." Then there was Olivia's will. Although she wasn't married and had no children, Olivia had designated Emily as the beneficiary of a sizable portion of her estate, an inheritance worth nearly $2 million. The case against Emily was mounting. But there was one problem. There was no physical evidence linking her to the poison. Authorities searched Emily's apartment, her car, and her phone records. They found no traces of aconitine, no suspicious internet searches, no evidence that she had purchased or handled the poison. It was as if Olivia's death had been orchestrated by a ghost. Frustrated but determined, detectives kept digging. Then, a breakthrough. A security camera near Emily's apartment building captured footage of her entering a local botanical shop just 2 weeks before Olivia's death. The shop specialized in rare plants, including wolfsbane. When detectives confronted her with the footage, her reaction was telling. She didn't deny being at the shop, but she claimed she was simply curious about poisonous plants. It wasn't enough for an arrest, but it was enough for police to watch her more closely. For weeks, Emily thought she had gotten away with it. She went about her life as if nothing had happened, until she made one fatal mistake. One night, a detective posing as a bartender struck up a conversation with Emily at a local lounge. She had been drinking, her guard down. "I still can't believe what happened to Olivia," the detective said casually. Emily sighed, shaking her head. "I know, it was terrible." Then, after a long pause, she muttered under her breath, "At least she didn't suffer." The detective froze. It was a small slip, but it was damning. The toxicology report had never been made public. Only the killer would have known that Olivia's death had been quick and painless. Emily had just confessed without even realizing it. The next morning, detectives brought Emily in for questioning. This time, she was nervous. She fidgeted, avoided eye contact. When confronted with her own words from the night before, she panicked. "That's not what I meant," she insisted. "You're twisting my words." But the damage was done. With mounting circumstantial evidence, Emily was officially charged with the murder of Olivia Carter. During her trial, prosecutors painted a picture of jealousy, resentment, and financial desperation. They argued that Emily had poisoned Olivia's tea, believing she would inherit millions. Emily's defense claimed there was no direct proof tying her to the crime. But in the end, the jury didn't need physical evidence. They needed only to listen to Emily's own words, her own slip of the tongue. After 3 days of deliberation, the verdict was unanimous: guilty. Emily Rhodes was sentenced to life in prison without parole. To this day, Emily maintains her innocence. She claims she was framed, that someone else must have poisoned Olivia. But the evidence, the resentment, the money troubles, the rare poison, paints a different story. Olivia Carter had trusted her best friend, and in the end, that trust cost her everything. What do you think? Was justice truly served? Or was there more to Olivia's death than anyone realized? The case may be closed, but the truth, that may have died with Olivia Carter. Years passed, but Emily Rhodes never stopped proclaiming her innocence. From behind bars, she insisted she had been framed, that someone else had poisoned Olivia, and she had simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time. At first, no one believed her. But then, something strange happened. A new report surfaced about another woman who had died under eerily similar circumstances. Same cafe, same brand of tea, same undetectable poison. But this time, Emily was already locked away. Detectives reopened Olivia Carter's case, looking for connections they might have missed. And what they found changed everything. A former employee of the cafe, a man with a history of fraud and deception, had suddenly disappeared just weeks after Olivia's death. His bank records showed an unusual deposit around the time of the murder, money that had come from an anonymous source. Was it possible that Emily had been telling the truth all along? Had she been a pawn in someone else's game? By the time authorities tracked down the missing employee, it was too late. He had died in an accident overseas. Any secrets he held died with him. Emily's case remains a subject of debate. Some believe she was a cold-blooded killer, her crime motivated by greed and jealousy. Others wonder if she was simply the perfect scapegoat for a crime that had been carefully planned by someone else. To this day, Olivia Carter's murder remains shrouded in mystery. And Emily Rhodes, she still sits in a prison cell, waiting for a justice that may never come.